What's going on, everybody? Always great to be here. My name is Cole. Welcome to Trans Spirit Indigo. Today I want to give you 3 ways that you can validate yourself. Self-esteem, self-validation. These are just some of the roots of that self-love tree, so to say. Self-validation is incredibly important, right? We need to be able to validate our own selves instead of seeking validation outside of ourselves, from other people, whatever that means to you. It can mean so many different things. Wanting everyone to like you, wanting to wear certain clothes that you fit in with certain people. We're all on different paths and we're all at different points in our life with this. But today I want to give you 3 ways that you can help yourself to self-validate. But before I do, I want to go a little bit more in depth with my experiences as a transgender person, specifically somebody who grew up in a time when nobody knew what transgender was. Something that I've learned as an adult now is how incredibly depressed I was growing up because I felt invalidated as a human. And I think a lot of you out there have not only been through this, but are possibly still going through this. And I don't believe anyone deserves to feel that way. Everyone deserves to feel validated in their own life. Now, this could be for anyone, but as a trans person, and from my perspective, I'm extra concerned, so to say, for the LGBTQ community, because I think oftentimes, more often than not, we feel incredibly invalidated as humans. And I'll tell you why. I'm sure you already know why. Because a lot of us spent most of our lives being told that it's not okay to be who we are. That would make anyone feel invalidated, right? And I'm not trying to make cisgender people or straight heterosexual people, because technically I identify as heterosexual. I'm trans though. But I'm not trying to make anyone feel invalidated, like, oh, you don't know because LGBTQ people had it more difficult than you did. That's not what I mean by it. Because again, everyone has their own journey. It's just that as an LGBTQ person, I have seen so many of my friends and myself, I've seen how invalidated we feel, and it makes sense. When you're told that the way that you feel on the inside is not okay, of course you're going to feel invalidated. So we're here to heal that now. We're here to heal those wounds and to let that go. Because whether you're LGBTQ or not, you are valid as a human. We are all valid. I could look back to any time of my life prior to coming out as trans at 20 years old and finding out that the word trans even existed at 20 years old. I could go back and think of all different scenarios where I did not feel validated as a human. Specifically though, my mind goes back to, I have these memories of walking around my high school, and there was a girl that I was in love with at the time, and people are experiencing first love for the first time, or love for the first time in high school a lot. You know, people are starting to date. This is all going on. People are growing into adults, right? They're past puberty. They're growing into adulthood. I didn't know what I was growing into because everyone kept telling me, you're a girl, girls like guys, that's the way it's supposed to be. For me, and it was the late 90s, early 2000s. And I just knew that that wasn't really me. So by constantly trying to pretend to be something I wasn't, of course it was incredibly invalidating. Like it was awful, and I wouldn't wish that on anyone. And I'm really thankful that we as a worldly community have moved forward. Honestly, when I see especially younger kids coming out and being who they are, it's hard for me to not start crying because I'm just so thankful. I don't want anyone to grow up like that. And I know there are so many people before me who never felt safe enough to come out. I mean, let's be real. Queer people have been around since people have existed. So we're very fortunate to live in the times that we do. But I just wanted to get to the point of when it dawned on me, when I really realized how invalidated that I felt, that's when the healing began. So I was saying my memories walking around the high school, I was in love with this girl who didn't realize that I felt that way because I didn't want to tell her. I realized that I was not validating myself every single day. I was telling myself that being in love with her was wrong. I was telling myself that feeling like I should be a guy was some kind of freak, bad, gross thing. You know, it was like anything that I truly felt in my heart, I let outside sources dictate how I spoke to myself. And I am not a victim. Something that I've learned, none of us are victims. We can't have that victim mentality. It's more of what did I learn from that? Because we're all here to learn lessons. So yes, I felt like a victim, absolutely. But when I stopped feeling like a victim and I started to ask myself more so, what is this lesson teaching me? What is this pain teaching me? That's when I was able to start really growing, expanding my consciousness and healing those wounds. Because I signed up for this. As I've spoke about in other videos, we come into the earth plane with a plan, with a blueprint, with certain things we want to learn. So while growing up, I always felt like I was a victim and something was happening to me and it was so awful. What I didn't realize when I was younger is that I signed up for that. I signed up to have these experiences as a trans person, specifically in the closet, I believe, so I could be here talking about it with you now. I want to be able to help anyone I can navigate through this journey because it's not easy. It's not. And especially when you feel you can't be yourself, it's extremely hard to validate. So, with that being said, I want to give you those 3 ways that I have, or the 3 things that I've used to help myself validate myself. All right, number 1, the first way that you can begin to validate yourself, get out a notepad, get out your computer, whatever you prefer. I prefer to write things out. Write down a list of at least 1. Now I'm going to say 3 would be a lot better, but at least 1 thing that you can elaborate on that you like about yourself. What are your talents? What are the successes that you've had in life? Because surely you'll find something, at least 1 thing. I think you're going to find a lot of stuff. There's a lot of things that you can love about yourself. Even if you are in the depths of depression and self-hatred. Now, if you're there, if you're that low down and feeling that low, I highly suggest to start journaling what you're grateful for, because gratitude is going to help elevate your vibration. So specifically, what are you grateful for of your own self? Like for me, I am grateful for the talents that God's given me to sing, to write, to speak, to communicate, to perform on stage. These are the gifts that I've been given and I'm thankful for them. So I write that out. I'm thankful that I can sing well. I'm thankful that I can play the guitar. I'm thankful that I can communicate to others and help others through their journey by sharing mine. So that's just my example. But yeah, try writing down at least 1 thing, if not more, different aspects of yourself that you're proud of, that you're thankful for. And they could be anything. You're thankful that you are a great cook. You're thankful that you're a great friend, that you're a great son, daughter, that you are a great grandchild to your grandparents. You treat them like gold. You check in on them. You see how they're doing. You spend time with them. It doesn't necessarily have to be a specific talent, like I said, like singing or whatever. It could just be a specific aspect of yourself that's fantastic. You're a loving person. You're kind to others. You're understanding. You listen to people. When you write down something on those lines about yourself, you begin validating the amazing person that you are. Number 2, the second thing that I'd recommend to bring you to that point of validating and loving yourself. And I've mentioned this so many times before because I couldn't say it enough. Affirmations. Positive affirmations. If it were up to me and a lot of other people out there, we would start using affirmations as, babies. Like if I had a child, I would be telling them positive affirmations. I'd be speaking it out to them while they were still in the womb. I would be telling them as I was raising them, holding them, changing their diaper. You are beautiful. You are powerful. You are an amazing human being. You are love in human form. I know this sounds cheesy to some people, but when you truly start to see the importance of this, if you haven't yet, you'll get it. You'll get it. Because for me, years ago, I would have been like, that person sounds crazy positive. Like, that's just, I was a very negative person for a part of my life. And the older you get, you'll realize that we play different roles. You know, life is like a movie, okay? And you're the main character of your movie. And sometimes you change it up. You know, I've been the alcoholic drunk. Like, if this was 12 years ago, I wouldn't even be making this video. I would be passed out drunk right now. And I'm so thankful I'm not. But that has nothing to do with the affirmations. But the affirmations are so important because when we talk about the subconscious, like a lot of times we're still carrying around negative thoughts about ourselves in our subconscious mind. Think submarine below surface level. There's your conscious mind and your subconscious mind. So when you start to say positive affirmations specifically about yourself, that's going to help rewire your brain to have those natural loving thoughts come about, well, naturally. I like to do affirmations for just about everything. You know, a big one, people love to do it about money. I'm a money magnet. Money comes to me easily and frequently. Those are great. But for this, with self-love, I am worthy. I love myself. I really, truly love myself. You know, my dad, he was right. When I was younger, it made me so mad when he said this. Let me rephrase it. It made my ego so mad when he said this, but he'd say, you can't love anyone until you love yourself. And I'd say, I love myself. And then a few hours later, I'd find myself passed out with an empty handle of a whiskey bottle. So sometimes we think we love ourselves, but we don't. So affirmations, writing them down, saying them out loud, listening to them. I'll listen to positive affirmations when I'm doing the dishes, when I'm sleeping. You can find them anywhere. You can make your own. You can make your own just on your phone for what you want to rewire and hear. I am courageous. I am bold. I go out of my comfort zone. Or you could find a gazillion affirmations on YouTube. Now, if you don't know it already, one of my favorite channels is You Are Creators. And I will leave that link below. He has some great affirmations. But you could find whatever suits you. Write down the affirmations on a piece of paper, just even 10 times. It doesn't have to be this big, long thing. I am worthy. I love myself. This will help you to rewire and to truly, at a subconscious level, believe in yourself. Because if you don't know it already, please let me tell you this. In this society, we are deeply programmed to not believe in ourselves. We are deeply programmed to seek validation outside of ourselves, to buy the newest, coolest car, the newest clothes, to have a certain haircut. That stuff is all BS. Bullshit and belief systems. You don't need it. What makes you happy? What is it that makes you feel like you? That is the self-validation. So try those affirmations, either speaking them out loud, writing them down, listening to them, typing them on your computer, whatever works for you. I highly suggest doing all of them. All right, this last tip, number 3, is one of the big ones for me. It's recognizing when you're seeking validation from others. Okay, what do I mean by that? You're going to get to a point, if you haven't already, on your spiritual journey of life, that you're going to start noticing when you're seeking validation from other people. Maybe you'll notice that you really want your friend's approval for the person you're dating. You like the person you're dating. You just started dating them. You think they're fantastic. But for some reason, you feel like you can't date them unless your friend thinks it's okay. Seeking that kind of validation is unhealthy for you and all parties involved. Now, there's nothing wrong with getting, a second opinion, or, there's many levels to this. Like, you could be dating somebody who is not good and maybe you're not seeing it and your friend can help you. So it was just an example. But like for me personally, there's been times, say with other musicians, to where like I think that they're a better musician than me. And I'm just being vulnerable, y'all. I'm just being vulnerable. I don't really, this isn't the prettiest part of me, but I just want to be real with you, okay? So there's been times where, say there's a musician who I think is a better performer, a better vocalist, better writer than me, and I'll find myself seeking validation of my own music through them. Well, what do they think of it? Do they think it's good enough? That is an indication that you are seeking validation from someone else. And that's kind of like how I figured it out for myself, where I stepped back one day and I'm like, why am I seeking validation from these other artists and these other people? I should be able to validate myself. Not only is it unhealthy for you or me, whoever's doing that, but it's unhealthy for all parties involved, because this is all energy. Everything's made up of energy. So when you're seeking validation from other people and outside sources, people can feel that. And people that are healthy and grounded, they don't want you to seek their approval. They want you to approve yourself. And if somebody gets off on that and they like that you're seeking their approval, run for the hills. because these people are probably have narcissistic qualities about them, or they're just very unhealed, and they're seeking validation from you. It's this crazy cycle. It's like if you're seeking validation from someone else, then in a way it's like they feel validated that you're reaching out to them to feel validated. It's all energy exchange, right? So taking the time to observe. Why do I feel like, okay, for me, why do I feel like I have to be validated by another musician for me to release this song? You know what happened when I asked myself that? It went way deeper than songs or music. I realized there was so much unhealed from my past. My first answer to myself was, well, I lived most of my life feeling unvalidated. Whoa, where did that come from? You see how that works? It's like when you ask a question to your own self and you start to really dig deep, it's like an onion. There's so many layers to peel off of it. It's like at one point I'm wondering why I need validation from other musicians to release songs or to do whatever I do with the music. But then when I ask my soul why, and my ego, when I ask why, it goes back to childhood. Well, I felt like I wasn't validated, and it really made me mad that when people started dating at 16, 17, nobody cared who I liked. Nobody cared how I felt. But the truth is, it's not that people didn't care. It's that people didn't know. People didn't know. And like that for me, in my personal story. Because sometimes, I'll be honest with you, there would have been people that didn't care. There's always going to be people that don't care. Doesn't mean you have to keep them in your life, blood or not. We want to keep people around that love us for who we are. But I wanted to give that last example specifically because that one really helped me. So what you do again is when you got to be able to, you got to be able to observe it, and you will. Once you start expanding your consciousness and you're on that spiritual journey and you're doing healing, this stuff will just start popping up. You remember the game at like Chuck E. Cheese back in the day? I don't know if they still have it, but it's like hit a mole or whatever, and these things pop up and you're smacking them left and right. Like they're boop, boop. That's kind of how it is. At least it's been for me on the spiritual journey. Comment below if you feel that same way. If it's like stuff just kind of comes up and you got to deal with it as you go. And for me, it came up that I was seeking validation from others. And I'll be honest with you, I was embarrassed. I was embarrassed for myself. Like, oh man, I can't believe I'm that guy. Well, that's okay. Because observing it, oh my goodness, you're in a great spot. If you can start observing your own flaws, so to say, or your own negative behaviors, that's fantastic, because then you could start to fix them and heal them. So when I realized I was seeking validation from others to feel like I was important or I was validated, in a nutshell, that's when I sat with myself and I started to ask questions like, why do I need this person's approval? And again, that's when it went way deeper than I knew. It went way deeper than that person or the people. It went way back to when I was a kid, to when I was a teenager. And that's, I'll kind of sum this up here. How I started this video is my specific concern for self-validation with the LGBTQ community. Because so many times we're swept under the rug. We're told that we don't matter, or I'm not a real man, or this and that. And people will invalidate. So it's very important for us to go within and activate that self-love, because we must be able to validate our own selves. And I'm happy to say this can be done. Because trust me, I was a person years ago who was in major victim mentality. Everything was everyone else's fault. And now it's completely different. So if you just feel like a mess right now, don't worry. You can totally change. You can always change. It's important to get to that point where you validate yourself, because I know that there will always be people that don't think I'm a man. There will always be people that disagree with transgender people. And I have to be strong enough at this point in life to not care. Because whatever's true for me is true for me, and what's true for you is true for you. Like, we're all living our own movie, right? On a multiverse, quantum kind of level, we're all having our own experiences. So when we can get to a point where we can stop feeling so angry towards the people that invalidate our experiences, and we can let that go, we're going to feel so much better, my loves. So much better. You deserve that. You deserve to feel good about who you are, because you're beautiful. You're amazing. I hope this video has helped you. I hope this advice has helped you. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section below. Thank you to everyone who has subscribed to my channel. It means the multiverse to me. I'm so thankful to be here to share this information with you. Also, I want to give a big shout out. I want to shout out to Jenica Hill. Thank you so much for your support. Everybody, if you haven't yet, go check out her channel. The link is below for Jenica Hill. She's going to tell you all about her experiences realizing she's bisexual. She's going to give you fantastic advice, such as how to get past that morning anxiety. She also gives some great examples of how she realized certain things about gender and gender roles as a young child. Check her videos out, subscribe, show her some love, because she definitely deserves it. She's given a lot of love out there to everybody and a lot of support. I also want to give a shout out to Brian at Daily Spiritual Card Readings. Go ahead and check him out at the link below. Thank you so much, Brian, for all of your support and love. Brian gives amazing daily spiritual oracle card readings, will help guide you along your spiritual journey. And also, when it comes to self-love and validation, his positivity, his demeanor will help you to find that within yourself. So please make sure to check out these YouTubers. Let's all support each other. So much love and light to everybody out there. Have a good day, night, morning, now moment, wherever you're at. Oh yeah, and I can't forget the famous please subscribe to my channel, a whole shenanigan thing. If you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification so you'll know every time I release a new video every single week. And yeah, what else is there? I love y'all. Thank you so much for your support. Peace and love.